You should only do things that you want to do. You should never do anything just because somebody tells you to do it. You know? Because something that we very often forget, that is, we should never forget this, is that we are alive. But aside from being alive, this is our life. The life that you are living, that's your life. The life that I am living, this is my life. And we very often forget this, but it's crucial. Because, like, what is the reason that my life is different from your life? It's because we're different people. Okay, but how does that make our lives different? Well, because you are different from me, you make different choices than I make. And because I'm different from you, I make different choices than you make. And because of this, our lives look different because the choices that we've made are different. And in this way, by like doing things that people tell you to do instead of doing what you want to do, you're kind of like living the life of other people and not living your own life, because you're not making the choice yourself. Like, yeah, you're like the one that's going through the motion, of like the choice that this person told you to take, but like that's not you. That's not what you want to do, and in that regard, by you moving in a way that's not aligned with you, it's aligned with someone else, you're becoming someone else, but not in a good way. It's like you're betraying yourself almost, because you're like, you don't trust your own judgment, you don't trust your own decisions, and because of this you rely on others. And when you rely on others, then your life starts to look like others, you know? And the thing is, like, look, this is not to say that people's advice don't have value, but like, if you wouldn't trade places with the person that's giving you that advice, you should not take that advice. Because your life, like, by taking that advice, you're only going to become more like that person, and your life is only going to look more like this person's. So really only take advice from people whose life you want yours to look like. That's what makes the most sense. It's kind of like Kanye when he said, you don't have the answers, Sway. Yeah, Sway really didn't have the answers. Why didn't he have the answers? Because Kanye didn't want his life to look like Sway's. May seem like a dumb example, but think about it. It makes sense. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna say that this is easy, because this can be hard. People give you advice because they want the best for you. But what's the best for you is to not take their advice. And so when you don't take people's advice, they're gonna feel even more compelled to tell you what to do with your life. It's like, imagine you're on a diet and then like somebody brings home donuts. Then like day 1 they ask you for a donut. You say no. Day 5 they ask you for a donut. You say no. Day 10 they ask you for a donut. You're like, shut the fuck up. Like, I don't want no fucking donuts. Like, how clear can I make this that I don't want a donut? It's like, it's kind of like that. Because I mean, really, it's like, some people's advice you should not be taking. It's kind of like this temptation that keeps on coming, where it's just like, maybe I can just appease this person by taking their advice in this instance, and they can finally go away, and they can finally stop doing this, but really, that's the worst thing you can do. Because to live a life that's full of choices that aren't your own is tragic. Because that's not even your life, as we previously discussed. It's like Leonardo da Vinci, right? Leonardo da Vinci came from a family of notaries. And the only reason he himself did not become a notary is because he was an illegitimate child, And so like in that culture, it's like he could kind of like go off and do his own thing, because he wasn't even technically like a real member of the family, quote unquote. And so because of this, because he was an illegitimate child, he kind of had like this freedom that other members of his family didn't have, And eventually, Leo's dad did produce a notary, like somebody to follow on with like the family trade or whatever. But think about it, man. Had Leonardo da Vinci been like a regular kid, been like a legitimate child, then he would have just been a notary. We wouldn't be talking about him today. He'd be forgotten in history. all because it was expected of him to follow through the motions of what previous generations had done. All because it was expected of him to become a notary. You know? Thinking about this. If he had just become a notary, then like Italy wouldn't be what it would be. The Renaissance wouldn't have been what it would have been. And because the Renaissance wouldn't have been what it would have been, the world wouldn't be what it is today. The Mona Lisa wouldn't exist. One of history's most creative geniuses would not have even been recognized, would not have even done anything. And this all stems from him having the freedom to do what he wants to do, to follow his own path. And this is the big temptation of following other people's advice, is that your path is never supposed to be clear. You know, Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell both said this, that if the path before you is clear, then you are on somebody else's path, you know? And so when you are surrounded by this mist of doubt and insecurity and like fear, because you don't know what's gonna come out of that fog, then like it's very tempting when somebody gives you a fish line, when somebody throws you a little something, to take it. But the thing is, if you take it and if they clear up the path before you, that's not your path. That's a different path. It's like if you're here, this little piece of advice, it's leading you away from here. It's leading you that way. You know? The path has all of a sudden become clear, but that's not a good thing. It's not good. Like, clarity is good if it comes from within. If it comes from you. If it comes from you following your own path and then like things clearing up around you. That's different. That's different than like somebody being like, oh, I see you're struggling, just do this. Because if you think about that, that's almost like they're throwing away your life. If you think about it. It's like, yeah, I see you're struggling, whatever, just stop struggling, just do this. Just like this entire path that you're on, just forget about it, just do this. Because this is easier. You know? It's like, when did we start doing things for easy? When did we start doing things because they're easy, because they're clear, because they're simple, because it's laid out for us? We didn't. We never did. And the people that did are probably not very happy. If you are on this path and it looks cloudy, you don't know where you're going, you don't know where you're going, you're afraid, you just want clarity, that's all you want, it's just to have some semblance of what to do, then I understand. Just keep going and trust yourself. The same credentials that anybody else has, the same intellect that anybody else has, that's the same intellect that you have. Okay? So when you choose to trust someone else, realize that you can trust yourself with that same conviction. If you can't get this clarity from other people, how do you get this clarity? Well, it's pretty simple. Basically, you follow your own interests and you follow them to the very fucking end. I'm telling you, like, you follow it until there's nothing else to follow, you know? Because like, these interests that you have, this is like what differentiates you from other people, and this is what makes you do different choices than other people. Okay? These, like, for example, you watching this video, we are connected in like the multiverse. We are connected because you are interacting with me by seeing my voice, and I am interacting with you by you hearing my voice, you know? You are seeing me right now and I am speaking to you. And so the reason why we are connected in this multiverse is because your interests have aligned with mine to some degree, you know, and thus we have connected. But aside from this, we have led totally different lives. Okay? The reason we've led totally different lives is because, again, aside from this one interest that has put us together in this very moment, we have had different interests that have led us completely different ways, you know? This is like aside from like geographical location or whatever. This is like, this is the truth. That our different interests have led us different ways in life. And so by you following your own interests, your own genuine interests, I'm talking like things that excite you, things that like make you get out of bed, things that are like make you curious, that drive like your deepest curiosities within yourself. These are the things that you want to explore. I'm talking like if you want to listen to podcasts, read books about it, become as knowledgeable as you can about these things, that is the right course of action. And this may sound scary for some of you because you think that like the place that it's leading you to is not a place that you are worthy of. That's the thing with a lot of people, that like they think they have nothing that genuinely excites them, but really it's because they don't see themselves as worthy of anything that excites them, you know? And so they try to fall down to like, okay, what excites me that's within my worthiness level? You know? But if you assess things by your worthiness level, quote unquote, then like you're never gonna get anywhere, because you are worthy of everything. Because if other people have it, they're just as worthy as you. It's like, it's not like humans are born, but some are born with like more inherent worthiness than others. We're all worthy. We're all worthy. It's just some people recognize that they're worthy and some people don't, you know? And so when you recognize your worthiness, you can actually go after the things that you want to go after. But you have to give yourself permission. And you give yourself permission by following your curiosities, you know? By following your curiosities and being okay with wherever they lead you. Like, no matter how high the height is, just being okay with it. I hope this helped you. I hope you can take something away from this video and apply it. Just cause man, like videos like this help me a lot in my own journey, in my own path, you know.